All right, welcome to Intermediate Pilates. Um, we're going to work on some extension today a little bit in the Pilates repertoire. So I've been feeling like I've been doing a lot of Pilates, a lot of the flexing part, and I wanted to work a little bit more. We'll continue in a kind of a flowing way, but I wanted to work a little bit more with those pieces that extend in the spine a little bit and give a little bit of energy in a different way. So we're going to work that way this morning. And you can kind of think about the spine, as it rounds, it's flexing, it gets kind of it's rounding and coming forward, those vertebra when we huddle at the computer, or there's a lot of things that we do in the front of our body. So a lot of things that we do in our daily life tend to kind of bring us forward. So some extension needed. And yeah, just some ideas about if if you are online, having to be online or things like that often, or maybe you're working on a project that demands a forwardness to get up and move around every now and then. So let's go ahead and just, we're going to start out on our back. I'm going to have a blanket for my head. So if you have a pillow nearby, you can use that. Please let me know if you can't hear me for any reason. If it's faint, I want to know that too. So that I know I'm using my microphone and everything is connected well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of support underneath my head. So in order to extend in the spine, especially if we were to talk about extending from kind of the mid back up through the top of the head, we also need to have the strength in the front of the body. So that means that the ribs, those muscles that pull the ribs in the front, are intact. And we generally work with those almost every class I teach. We're working with knitting the ribs so that that midsection is strong. So that won't be new for you, but it is a piece of being able to extend in the back. So let's support the head. And just allow the shoulders and that center of the back between the shoulder blades to come down. And release the facial muscles. Make those nice big exhales out. Inhaling. Exhaling. I'll let those exhales kind of come out through the mouth, but even expanding in the cheeks a little bit to kind of let things, just a little more reminder to if I can do it in my face, I might feel a little more in my body, just to release any of that tension that's extra. And in this position with your head lifted, you might feel a little more heaviness in the back ribs there, which is nice. With the exhale, the ribs can fall. As you deflate the lungs, there's more space. They can fall with gravity. And then you can inflate the lungs and lift the ribs, expanding the ribs, and then exhale again. And then releasing the jaw, releasing the face once more. And it can kind of serve as a nice little check-in too for your morning. Seeing how you're arriving, if you've been out for a walk already, or if this is kind of your jump start into movement. Probably feel different in your body with those two options. And then let's go ahead and take the arms up and reach the shoulders away. Let the shoulder blades come up away from the spine and out toward the outside of your hand, all the way up to your fingertips. Reach out like that. And you can still exhale and kind of pull the ribs down and in, creating a little space in the armpits. And take a breath in. And you're still reaching those arms way up. So almost doing the opposite that we're going to do later on, right? A lot of extension in the spine. I'm going to actually tuck those shoulder blades on, but right now, feels kind of nice to really bring the ribs back, even though my arms are going forward. And then go ahead and let the shoulders sink back toward the floor and broaden. Let them get nice and broad. And then keep broadening, let your arms come outward. And the arms are going to get heavier. I've got a little bit of bend in my elbow, like I'm holding a huge beach ball or one of those physio balls from exercise classes, Pilates, and different things. Reach to the fingertips. Still hovering the hands. And now you might feel your shoulder blades a little more. But if you have any kind of bony part to touch your mat or your floor, it depends how squishy your floor is. They're kind of tucking in a little bit more with the hands outwards. So let's reach to the fingertips one more time. And then bring the arms back up. Interlace the fingers. And actually, I'm going to move you can keep your pillow here if you'd like, or you can move it out of the way. I guess I can have it right there. I'm just going to start from a little bit higher position. So hands behind the head, and I can rest them right down on my pillow or blanket rolled up here. And with the next exhale, let's go ahead and begin taking the spine away from your pillow, away from the floor, the upper back, the shoulders, into your mini crunch. Breath, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And then slowly coming back. And then you can release the elbows a little bit. And perhaps you've already heard me talk about how this midsection here, the ribs pulling in, do so much. One, posture, really help us keep our shoulders and head in the right alignment. It's going to help us with extension today. So we have some physical ways that it helps us. And also that it connects our lower body from this point downward to the pelvis into the legs. It connects us to the upper half. So another kind of physiological way. Bring those hands back, elbows up. And let's come up again. So lots of ways that this helps physiologically, how we stand, how we work in our body, how it translates to the low back, having strength here in the midsection, and coming back to your support or to the floor. Now there's also kind of an emotional, what do I want to call it? Emotional component of this in the yoga lore as your chakra, the third chakra, and it has to do with your will. So your confidence, your stick-to-itiveness to your plans, your habits, your will is also this part of the body. So being strong here, if you'd like to go there, we're going to come up once more, is also building that definition to where you'd like to be, where you are, and staying on that path. So I like to think about that every now and then. Going right into the 100, taking the hands away if you'd like, or keeping the hands at the head. Starting with the feet on the floor. Bouncing the hands back up and down here. And we're going to inhale and exhale. And I'm going to go a little bit quicker now with the hands. And exhale. If you'd like to lift the feet up, knees right over the hips. continue to relax the shoulders. That sounds a little weird, right? Because I'm pretty active with the arms, but I can adjust in there because I'm really using the belly. Breath is in, breath is out. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Feet down, inhale and exhale. And then slowly roll back, supporting the head or letting the head come to your support. And we did it. We got through that 100. Pretty sure we got pretty close to those 10 breaths, if not more. Just seeing how that feels in your space and your body here. Might just feel nicely released, nice to not be doing that. Is there anything else underlying? Good. All right. While we're here, I'd like to work with leg circles, and then we're going to continue on here with a little more work in the upper body. So let's go ahead and take one leg nice and long. Let's take that other knee over the hip. And then just remember that you can let that shin be really droopy, and you can make these circles with your knee. And our objective here is not to make the biggest circle, it's to keep the pelvis the sturdiest that we can. So if you take your knees in that journey and there's a lot of wobble in the pelvis, you'll know that that's enough for you to take that knee in a nice circle. If the foot can come up and you start to draw that circle a little more with your foot, still a smallish circle, that's fine. Keeping the belly, keeping the hips nice and steady. So let's continue here. Inside, down, out, and back to the center. And the other direction, we're going to go out. Heel draws a U is kind of what I always think of, comes inside, and then it stops right in that beginning position. And I can inhale first part, exhale second. So you hear me exhaling there. Inhale. Good. And then bring that leg down. So generally, knee or leg circles are 5 each direction, keeping that pelvis nice and steady. And you might notice your shoulders were working a little bit, or you had some tension. So let that go in the upper body. It's really great work for the hip socket, isn't it? But everything that supports the hip socket is what's really working. And that's what we want to have happen there. So testing out the other side, remember, we can make these circles with our knee. And honestly, I feel a lot of work there to keep everything nice and steady. But maybe you lift your foot and you move the lever of the leg a little bit. It's a little heavier lever to hold here with the belly. So in, down, out. In, down, out, drawing that U with the heel. Other direction, out, down, and back. Good. And then bring the legs back in and release the low back. Anything that you might have worked with, you can even bring the legs in if you'd like. Nice deep breath. All right, I'm going to use a little momentum here to springboard myself up. Come all the way to hands and knees. So I'm going to come all the way around. So on the back, we can't get a lot of that extension. It's we're pretty passive, and if anything, we flex the spine, we round the spine. So coming to hands and knees, we get our first chance to work on the spine in a little more extensive way. Now let's take it in that really nice familiar place first with flexing. So I'm going to take the belly button and pull it back, rounding the low back. And then rounding in the upper back. So just so we have the definition here, flexion here, letting the head come down. This is flexing or rounding the spine, which we're very familiar with. Exhale. And now come to neutral. So we let all of that rounding go and we see if we can find neutral. And neutral spine really is, the spine is curvy. It's not a straight spine. So if you're feeling a little bit of dip in your low back, you might not see it, but that you might sense that. And if you feel a little bit rounded up in the shoulder blade area, that's natural, neutral spine as well. And then the head, I like to shake the head a little bit, the neck vertebra getting nice and free and reaching, as in my mind's eye anyway, straight out. With the crown of my head at the top. So there's my neutral spine. So that space between the shoulder blades in neutral is a little bit flexed. If you look at any skeleton, right? So now if we want to go to extension, in particular, that piece is going to have to do something it normally doesn't. So even though the ribs could come way forward, I'm going to support the ribs in the front. They are going to come forward a little bit. My tail can come up a little bit, curving more in the low back than I already was. And then reaching out the crown of the head is a little tricky because we want to maybe lift our head. But if we lift the chin, we actually curve the neck vertebra. So let's find this nice reach that doesn't necessarily take our chin forward. And you might look out a little bit further out on the floor in front of you. Nice extension. And then release that. And let's come back to child's pose. And just let the arms, you can even crawl them out, get nice and stretchy for your arms and your armpits here. You can kind of, if you have anything to grab onto there with your fingertips, I have a sticky mat, but if you could reach out, get nice and long with that. That might feel like you're extending your spine. You're really just lifting your shoulders up, but that's nice. You are taking your seat back. That's nice to take your seat back behind you. And lengthen in the low back a little bit. And then let's come back to hands and knees. And see if you can find neutral. You can shake the head a little bit, freedom in the neck. And in that process, we get nice freedom at the base of the skull where some of those headaches can start and tension patterns. So let it go. And keep that nice freedom in the neck without dropping the head. And then shift your weight to lift one hand up and take it out in front with that nice reach we just did. And then take your other opposite foot back behind you. Toes turn under and find the floor for that. So you just get something a little bit to push into there with the toes turned under. And then if you'd like to lift that foot and point through the toes. Good. And then now checking in with that neutral spine. Is it there or did it shift some? And bring the hands and knees back. Find your neutral. Shake the head if that helps you. Shift a little bit, take that arm out. So if I don't take the arm out quite as high, I tend to kind of stay a little more in my neutral spine. The higher I go with that hand, I tend to do a little more extension, which is fine. That's our topic. Take that other foot back. just kind of noticing the higher you go with that hand, what you shift in the body to compensate. We have to do something usually to keep our balance. Pressing back through the heel, feeling the toes, and then you can lift that leg up. And again, the more we lift that leg, the more we might want to dump in the front body. The more we lift the arm, the more we might want to dump. So make sure you're strong in the front here. As you extend, stay nice and free in the neck. 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands back. And then let's reach back again. So you can keep your hips up if you'd like and get a nice reach back, or they could come back toward the heels. Just keeping the hands on the mat, reaching back, getting a little stretch to the armpits there. If you have more space in your brain, you could rotate the shoulders out, get nice and broad in the shoulders. It's like you're going to bring your elbows toward the mat, the elbow points toward the mat. Good. Let's come back to hands and knees here. And we're going to do a little bit of a combo work here and go into that flexion place that we're more familiar with, a lot of us. Let the head go. We're going to turn the toes under, and we're going to lift the knees, keeping that nice rounded position. You don't have to go straight with the knees. And then push back a little bit and get a little straighter with the spine, reaching the hips back. Knees can be very bent. And then we're going to keep that nice softness in the neck and kind of look between the hands, but it's like we're reaching with the crown of our head to look between the hands a little bit. And then bring the knees back down. And you can reach back, child's pose. Then we're going to come back up. Not going to rest as long there, but taking that break for the hands if you need to. I'm just going to bring my fists down and then come back to palms. Yeah, that's better. I can come back. So keep finding your fingertips if the palms or wrists are getting tired. Rounding. Head drops, tail drops, toes turn under. And then we're going to lift that up and stay kind of rounded to start. It's a little different than any yoga pose, right? We don't normally stay in a rounded position here. We go straight to a downward dog. And then we're going to kind of push back into that downward dog, reaching with the hips. Heels can stay up, knees can stay really bent. And then to add this extension piece, reaching with the crown of the head, almost as though you had a beam of light to go between your hands. And then coming down. And resting back. Go ahead and turn the palms upward. You can flick the fingertips outward and let the hands rest. All right, I'm gonna bring the feet right underneath me again to seated. Do a little more wake up in the fascia of the legs and the feet. Don't like to leave that behind. Let's take a hold of the back of the legs here and come into that flexion. So we just did some extension work. And there's always a little piece in the C-spine that is extending. I'm thinking about that crown of my head, a beam of light coming out, and yet pulling back with the belly kind of rounds everything. So we just try to not collapse completely and drop the chin, but the chin has this nice, the neck has this nice elongation, and yet I'm flexing in the rest of the spine here. So come on back with your feet, find that nice elegant C, and let's take the foot out. Toe, heel, toe. come back. Toe, heel, toe, and back. Toe, heel, toe, and back. Really feel the feet. Yesterday's class, I really worked on your pinky side of the foot, feeling kind of all the toes and that pinky side as well. When you think about the ball of the foot, it's the whole width of the foot, right? And getting all of that in to your stretches and coming back and holding on. And we'll just come up to a seated position and kind of check out how that feels in the body there. Good. Okay, I'm going to come down onto your side here, drawing the knees up. And I'm going to kind of wrap the head here with the underlying arm. Oh no, I'm not. The arm underneath goes out. Now I remember. I'm going to take that other hand to the other side, almost to my ear there. And elbow is kind of reaching upward. The other hand can reach down or just be down here. Palm down or palm up. I don't know that it'll matter. We'll see here in a moment. And then the ribs. Feel the ribs on the mat there. And then let's do a little work here. I'm not really yanking on the head at all. I'm just kind of helping lift, and then we're gonna see, does it help to have my palm down here maybe to give a little push to that rib cage side body. Come down, breath, and then opening, getting that nice opening to the armpit again, armpit rib area. Could have called that my class, right? The armpit rib class. So we get that opening here on the bottom, and we get a little bit of tightening up here on the side body. Couple more. A little pressing down with this arm if that works for shoulders. Some shoulders, maybe it won't feel so good and you may need to adjust. Good. And then you can rest your head down. As long as we have our legs here, let's do a little bit of clamshell. Can't hurt us, any of us, to get a little bit of that strength into the outside glute area of the hips. Keep your feet together. And we're going to take those knees apart. And notice I'm not going as open as I can go, because I want to keep my hips stacked. If I go as open as I can go, I actually end up rotating on that lower leg, on the lower, it's not my hip, but that bone I can feel, right? So I'm going to keep the heels together and keep my movement not as big as I could go, because then I would be moving on that lower part of the body. Good. And now let's do one more. So as long as we're here, we're going to take the knee toward the knee, heel comes up, and then switch heel to heel. Knee to knee, heel to heel. Knee and heel. Knee and heel. Rotating the whole femur to get there. You could also be touching your toes to toes as they come around. Rotate, 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 rotate. Good. Yeah, feeling all those muscles that support the hip again. All right. Let's come all the way up and find our other side. And we'll start with our rib work. Knees can come together. palm down seem to work pretty nicely. Bringing the hand over the head with an exhale. Just checking it out. We don't have to do our biggest work to begin with here. Seeing how this side feels. And I'm doing a little pushing down with the hand here, getting that nice length into the armpit, and a little work here definitely helping come up, right? Reach up with your elbow. The upper elbow can reach up. Release. 3 more. 3 and down. 2 and down. 1 and down. Good. And then either supporting the head or letting the head be all the way down supported, and clamshells. So the knees come up. And again, I could open up further, but then I'll rotate I'll shift my whole body to do so, likely. So, and this side, I don't have as much movement here. It's a good thing I'm working on it. Kind of get to see that. Opening up. And you can always kind of check it out. Is your sacrum steady or is it shifting? 3 left. 3, 2, 1. And release. Release that leg, let it go. And then we're going to do that rotating knee. So then the foot comes up, and toes or heels or the whole side of the foot might meet your other foot. I'm going to rotate in, rotate open, rotate in, rotate open, rotate, rotate. All right, couple more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Stretch that out if you need to. Wake it up a little bit, give it a little massage. We worked on that a little bit yesterday. We did some side lying, and we talked about giving it a little massage with your knuckles, things like that. All right, I'm going to come up here, find my way up, find my feet coming underneath me. And then using your hands, you can take your feet further apart if you'd like. And then coming into the feet on the floor standing. And let your spine be kind of noodly to start. So the knees can bend as much as you'd like. And we get that flexion, of course. Part of the rolling up will be a flexion. But let's come up about halfway, finding your hands at the tops of the knees. And then from this point here, this nice rounded position, notice your shoulder blades for a moment. With the arms in front, the shoulder blades kind of coming around, or I'm kind of bracing a little bit in my shoulders. So as I start to extend my spine, I'm going to make an adjustment in those shoulders. They're going to start to come in, shoulder blades toward the spine, shoulders away from my head, and my head reaching out a little bit more, my seat reaching back, and then move your head again. Nice ease in the neck. Shoulder blades coming in a little bit, lengthening the spine, and there we are with some extension. And just if you have a mirror, if you can kind of sense, where is my body in space? Where is my head? With this extension, lengthen the back of the neck, but also as though I'm kind of lifting my head into something, the back of my head. That's going to help feel extension, like I've got a little power there. Ribs are going to help connect. front body. Couple breaths here. If you ever needed some energy and you didn't have like a big space or a lot of time, this is a nice thing to do here. A couple of round and then come to this extension position because it's energizing. Go ahead and round and then again. And come down and droop. You can even shake it out. And then roll it up. We'll come all the way up this time. Good. And then let's grab our strap. Good. How are you doing? Coming to your feet, feeling the feet. I haven't done a whole lot on our feet yet. How's the posture though? Coming to standing, having done what we've done, working in this way. Let's work a little bit with our strap, get our shoulders nice and warmed up today. And we can also continue to dial in with the ribs knitting in. So let's go ahead and pull here, right down here around the hip area. This just happens to be where my strap lands. Little elbow bend and finding the shoulder blades on the back and release. Out and release. Out and release. Go ahead and release your legs down into your feet. You'll notice your knees probably give up a little bit of their work or somewhere else in your legs. 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. I'm going to do that same thing at shoulder height. Now, granted, shoulders are sort of wrapping around here again. So I want to find that just right spot. We were on our back when we started, and we took the shoulders way out like this. So we don't want to be way out like this, but we also don't want to be too far in. Find a just right spot and go ahead and pull here. There'll be a spot, I think, where you will feel connected. Connected from your arm all the way into the shoulders, kind of central into the body. And it'll feel like good, steady muscle work. And if it doesn't, let's go ahead and make some adjustments. If it feels pinchy, or that's the technical term, if it feels pinched or like it's not supported, we maybe need to make an adjustment. 3, 2, 1, dropping the arms. So depending on how tight your strap is, you're tired or it's easy, you could keep going. We're going to start at the top, give a little pull here, and we're going to take it down and back up. Drop your legs into your feet again. Little bend in the knees, it's micro bend. You can see maybe from the side better. I could have my legs really extended here and hang out there, or drop my legs into my feet. 5, a little bit of tension on there. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. I'm going to take that a little broader. I want to give myself another little moment of rest there. Shoulders are feeling it, maybe because I did some workout yesterday. It's okay. And this is a nice taut strap. I'm going to take it overhead. So up we go, up and back, up and down. We could go all the way down. Let's do that. All the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release. Good. Good work. We're going to do one more that's going to start right here, kind of in front of the forehead area. And we're going to take the strap from here, and I'll go to the side too so you can see. From here, a little in front to a little behind. Reach up and come forward. Now you may notice as you want to go back, ribs or chest want to go forward. We're not really going for that, right? We want to have some tone here to keep that nicely knitted. And yet shoulders get this nice work up and front, up and just in front. We didn't go all the way down there. Over and then over, over. Getting that nice overhead work, aren't we? Overhead muscles, those muscles on top of the shoulders tend to get a little spiced up here. Ooh, and come down and shake it out. Good. Back behind us. You didn't think we'd miss this, especially with extension. The shoulder blades come usually together when we want to extend the spine. When we want to back bend, would be extension. And yet we're going to be nice and tight here. So the shoulders come together and the arms a lot of times come back behind us. So this is really great work for those kind of movements. So shoulder blades coming together, a little bit of pull on the band. I'm going to watch the ribs in the front, have a little bit of knitting here. And then we're going to take the elbows as though they want to be away from each other a little bit. They're going to kind of reach out. Reach elbows away, both away from the body and a little bit away from each other. Drop the feet, the legs into the feet again. Good. Are you feeling the beauty of those small movements? It's not that big, but it's pointed, isn't it? Good. All right, band can go down. Nice work with the elastic. All right, legs into the feet. The other thing we can do when maybe the ideas aren't flowing, or there's a little stagnant, the ideas are stagnant, or our motivation is stagnant, is to widen the view. And so we're just going to take a moment here. We're going to bring the hands behind the head. We're going to head into some of our Pilates repertoire, but we're going to keep that view peripheral. So what I like about bringing the hands up here is I can kind of keep my elbows in my view, even though I'm looking ahead or looking at the camera here. I can keep that peripheral idea going. So see if you can keep that idea of not quite 180 degrees, but a pretty broad view. You've got straight ahead, you've got it widening out. Go ahead and bend in the knees. And let the torso come forward and keep that peripheral in your, if you can, in your awareness. So jumpstart the motivation, maybe broadening the view, maybe just doing some movement, some extension, some big leg work, big leg muscle work. Coming down a little deeper and back up. A little deeper and back up. Coming down, pausing here. Let's shift our weight. So also adding in a balance can help our concentration, our motivation. Balance. Lifting the other heel, lifting the other foot, placing it back down, both feet. Lift. Both feet. Lift. Both. Back to center. Little bounce. Peripheral vision. Press down to come up. Take the hands away. Shift. In a more of a straight leg here, shift your weight to one side. Lift that leg out to the other side, one foot. Come back. Now maybe the balance is a little off. Just take your toe as long as you can extend it as far out as you can. And maybe you lift. Again, I'm keeping that peripheral vision to help with my proprioception, really. It's helping me balance to have that bigger view. Shift, lift, shift, lift. Good. Nice. And come to standing. Good. All right, let's take our practice a little bit full circle. And we're going to start with a little of that rounded. And then as we come down here, we're going to add that extension piece in. So the good thing about Pilates push-up and in the yoga series, the salutes, is they do both. They extend and they flex. They extend and they flex. So we start out here exhaling, inhaling. Exhale, pick your arms out and up. Go ahead and round in a nice big way. Shoulders coming up toward the ears, shoulder blades, round all the way down there. And then walk the hands out. And you find yourself in plank. And plank, if nothing else, is an extension. So we're going to keep that head, just like we did earlier, nice and free. And yet it's not dropping downward. We're not flexing the head. We want to extend the head outward through the crown of the head. The spine's a little bit in neutral. The heels reach back. The crown of the head reaches forward. If you don't have enough to work with here, bending the elbows a little bit outward. 3% bend. 3, 2, 1. Walking back. Rolling up. Arms out and inhale here first. Arms out and up. Rounding. Forward walk. With the hands. Plank position. Remember how I talked about the back of your head extending upward without the chin lifting. That's not really lifting my head. It's just moving my neck. Pull that belly up to support the pelvis. 3, 2, 1. Knees are going to come down. And then let's come all the way to the belly here. Nose and chin toward the floor. The ribs get to fall toward the floor, the hips, the jaw releasing. And even if your eyes are closed, you could invoke this idea of a peripheral vision here, keeping broad in the eyes and then the forehead. And then same rules that we've been working with, only we got a little more support from the floor. So right now your spine, is it in neutral? What's the spine doing? It likely is pretty close to a neutral position, especially if we can keep that length in the neck. So the neck also curves. It does curve this way, but sometimes it curves really, really short. So that's why we encourage, try to encourage that length in the back of the neck. So same thing we've been doing there, reaching through the crown of the head without the chin coming forward. And you might sense that already, that's starting to come from between the shoulder blades. So with the palms on the floor here and the elbows as though they'd like to touch back behind you, we're going to press a little bit with the palms as though I was going to kind of propel myself forward and reach with the crown of the head. And if that reach ends up lifting my nose and chin, that's okay. Lifting my chest, that's okay. Shoulder blades, elbows kind of attracted back there. You might feel those muscles turning on. Reaching through the crown of the head. Back of the neck is still rather free, so you can kind of check that out. If it's difficult to turn the head a little bit, then you may, let's go ahead and come down, support the forehead. So let's try that again. I think everybody in the class right now, and likely if you're watching this, you've done locust before. You've done an extension like this at Swan in Pilates language, and it's locust in yoga language. So reaching through the crown of the head. I almost tuck the chin on purpose to give myself a little length there, knowing that as I come up, I will lose a little bit of that. And reaching through the crown of the head. The further I come up, the more the ribs, those muscles around the ribs help me support the whole low back. And then we did this practice of pressing the hands down a little bit, elbows toward each other, as though we were going to propel ourselves forward on the mat. And can you keep that action in the upper body as you take your hands away, palms upward? Same activity around the shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale. Still freedom at the base of the skull. And then exhaling. Bring the arms full circle all the way out and support your head, or just let your head come down and the shoulders come up. And then just let the legs release completely. And take a few breaths in. And let the face have that same softness we started with, where remember how the breath was coming out of really loose lips and cheeks. That peripheral vision is allowed, or the spaciousness of the eyes and forehead. And then as you're ready, bring your hands back near the body and use the hands to press up and to take the body kind of into a check it out. Hands and knees, you can wiggle the tail, you can round the low back and mid back if you'd like, the upper back. You can press back into a mini child's pose / cat pose. Balancing our extension with some flexion. And then bringing your feet underneath you. Let the spine dangle if you'd like. And then rolling up. Slowly finding your way all the way up to standing. And checking it out. Good. I think we're all done for the day. That was really fun to do a whole Pilates class. Not too much yoga made it in there. I don't think very much at all, really. So hope you have a really wonderful day ahead. Teaching mindful cardio and strength tomorrow at noon. And Wednesday I'll be doing, let's see, it's still September. So I'm trying to think of the theme I have for Movement Lab, but Movement Lab at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. So I hope to see you soon and have a wonderful rest of your day. Good week if I don't see you.
Thanks, Ingrid. They were great exercises.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Maxie. Have a good day. Thanks, Charlie. Have a good one.
Yep, thank you.